So in this video we're going to keep on looking at encoding data. So please let me know if you have any questions about the information that you see in this video. So what happens when data is encoded? So when data is encoded, it is stored in a specific format. Computers do not recognize text, sound, and images in the same way we do. Computers use binary digits, which are ones and zeros. 1 means on, and 0 means off. So remember, like in IGCSE, we know that computers only can read information in digital format, which will be binary code, and it doesn't really pick up information in the same way we do, which would usually be analog data. A typical binary number would look like this. So ones and zeros. So this is an example, 110, 110, 10. Therefore, data needs to be encoded into a format which the computer understands. What is needed to encode information? So codecs are programs that are used to encode data for images, audio, and video. The codecs are also needed to read the data. So codecs are needed to encode the information. How is text encoded? So text is encoded as a number that is then represented by a binary number. A common encoding method is ASCII, which is an American standard code for information interchange. So ASCII codes consist of 256 codes from 0 to 255. So you might have heard of ASCII codes. We'll probably have a look at some examples just now on this type of encoding method. Are there other encoding methods for text? So there are other encoding methods too, such as extended ASCII, which allows for more characters to be used, particularly for international languages. Other encoding methods include Unicode and EBCDIC, but you don't need to learn about these. So I think in our textbook the only one it talks about is ASCII code. And I don't even think you need to know too much about the extended ASCII code. Is encoding used for images too? If so, give an example. So encoding is also used to store images. So it is. At the most basic level, images are encoded as bitmaps. So the last question we're going to look at is discuss encoding in terms of sound. So I don't think you need to know this part in too much information, so we're just going to read through it. When sound is encoded, the sample rate, bit depth, and bit rate are stored. When sound is recorded, it is converted from its original analog format into a digital format, which is broken down into thousands of samples per second. The sample rate, also known as the frequency, is the number of audio samples per second. The higher the sample rate, the higher the quality of the music, but also the more storage that is required. Each sample is stored as binary data. The sample rate is measured in hertz, which you can represent by Hz. Typically, music on a CD will use a sample rate of 44.1 kilohertz, whereas a simple telephone call would find 8 kilohertz sufficient. And the last slide of information, encoding in sound continuous. So continuing from the previous slide, the bit depth is the number of bits, ones and zeros, used for each sound clip. A higher bit depth will give a higher quality sound. CDs use a bit depth of 16, which means 16 bits, in other words zeros and ones, are used. 16 bits gives 65,536 combinations of binary storage. And lastly, the bit rate is the number of bits that are processed every second. It is measured in kilobits per second, or kbps. The bit rate is calculated using this calculation. So you can calculate the bit rate if you have the sample rate, the bit depth, and the number of channels. So just maybe know this formula just in case. The bit rate is equal to the sample rate times the bit depth times the number of channels. So I hope that was alright. I'm just going to show you an example quick of how to use the ASCII codes on Microsoft Word, for example. So let's say you're in Word and you want to use the ASCII codes to put in a symbol. So to do this, what you would do is hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and then you would need to use the numpad on your keyboard. So there are 256 ASCII codes. So they go from the number 0 to 255. So let's just try some different ones. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard, and then using the numpad on your keyboard, you have to use the numpad. So on the right side, you should have the numpad on your keyboard. So let's type in just some number between 0 and 255. So you type in 170, 170, and let go. You'll see that a symbol has appeared. Let's try one other one. Hold on Alt, 173, let go. I think it looks like an I. Let's just try one more. Hold on Alt, 120, and that's X. So you can put in symbols using ASCII codes as well, if you know the number of those characters. Okay, I hope that was right. Let me know if you need any help.